Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and guess what? We've had ourselves for me, a buying opportunity this morning. I saw XRP dip down to like 275. Like I've told you before, when we have dips, all I'm doing, if I'm in a position to do so, I'm buying. If I'm not, then I just don't really stare at it because I'm looking at big picture things. Here's Dark Defender. XRP is oversold on the 4-hour time frame. We expect a reversal of our Fibonacci support we discussed earlier, and then we've got Crypto Insight UK. He did this write-up, but he says, I also didn't mention yesterday we had our highest ever monthly close for XRP and our first ever monthly close above $3. He says many people are panicking right now, but honestly, XRP looks completely fine. RSI, He says, on the 4-hour, we're coming out of the oversold area on the RSI, and nothing's broken, changed at all. So he sees that, and then this is me, bought the XRP dip like a champ, which I did. Let's look at the bigger picture thing, which is what's important. There are currently 9 XRP ETFs pending approval in the United States. Grayscale, Total Capital, CoinShares, Rex and Osprey, ProShares, WisdomTree, 21 shares, Canary, Bitwise, and then there's also one Canadian one. I can't remember the name of it, but it was yesterday we were talking about it. And then Eleanor Terrett outlined that there's much more to come this week is the way I read what she said. So I went to Grok and I said, what happened to the price of Bitcoin percentage-wise after the launch of the first ETF over the next 6 months? Okay, so it went up 53.5%. But remember, all this time Bitcoin has had a monopoly, a regulatory monopoly, being the only one designated as a commodity. That is about to change, and that's a massive thing, a regulatory playing field. We've been waiting for that for XRP since I started talking about it. But the other thing is the case dismissal. And I said here, I believe XRP ETFs launched combined with the lawsuit ending, which once the lawsuit ends, by default, XRP now has complete regulatory clarity, allowing the banks to hold it. And a lawsuit ending will make the Bitcoin appreciation post-ETF look like child's play. No digital asset is more coiled than XRP. No digital asset has been held back more than XRP. Here's an interesting tweet from Jeremy Hogan. Let me just throw out a thought on XRP as a part of a U.S. digital asset strategic reserve. Almost everyone on CryptoX is looking at the issue from a crypto perspective. Is it decentralized? How are the validators chosen, etc.? None of that really matters to the federal government. A strategic reserve is an asset, gold, oil, example. And the government believes it should hold in reserve in order to protect the people from something. If the U.S. government chooses to hold XRP in reserve, it will be because it thinks there's a benefit, maybe a hedge against some future contingency. And maybe, just maybe, the U.S. government has greater insight into geopolitical events than would necessitate the need. Did I just butcher this word or what? Necessitate is what I was trying to say. The need to have a store of XRP in the future than Joe Smith, Bitcoin enthusiast. And maybe the U.S. government knows that if Ripple were to do anything to jeopardize the XRP network, etc., it could simply take control of Ripple, think WW2, or confiscate the XRP in escrow, think 1933 gold. Maybe the federal government isn't looking at this from a crypto perspective like people on here. Just some random thoughts. I like his random thoughts. BNY Mellon is now hiring for crypto roles in 2025. They're managing $50 trillion in assets. Has just posted a key hiring opportunity, digital assets division. Banks are no longer waiting. They are actually preparing to integrate blockchain and crypto into the financial system. Here it is. All right. According to Bloomberg, families are embracing cryptocurrency as a future investment to build wealth for the next generation. And then there's this. This is UBS Bank CEO.
I have to admit that I've been I'm still struggling to understand exactly the value and the merits of cryptocurrencies. I'm not talking about stable coins, but I'm talking about more traditional one. Now, it would be, on the other end, looking at the phenomenon that goes on for so long now, it would be a little bit naive and to just think that it's just speculation. I think it's speculation. We know it's also used by, call it probably not so good activities or and criminalities, but we have to bring it back to the financial stability topic. Many people invest in cryptocurrencies because they don't trust any longer the fiat system and the Bretton Woods system. And particularly here I'm talking about emerging markets and certain places where inflation or political instability is a threat to savings. So we have to really understand if crypto in some cases, and again, I'm not a big fan of cryptos, but is this the new gold? Is that a different way for people to secure a different kind of assets they believe is not in control of the establishment? So I'm not saying that this is exactly what's happening, but there is an element, and I'm hearing more and more people thinking that way. So that's a real risk to financial stability, is that we see the creation of parallel systems.
Parallel systems. I don't know if you have remembered, but there's been a parallel conference, and if you look at XLM's logo, it's two lines in parallel. Very interesting. Cointelegraph says, Insight, Ethereum needs more adoption and blockchain activity to reclaim 4K. ETH faces strong resistance at 3,400 with 1 billion in short set for liquidation if broken. And I said, no, and Ethereum needs another Bill Hinman. That's the reason Ethereum's price did what it did. Here's the Black Swan capitalist, and I think he's right. I'll start from about
specifically
here.
HBAR. Been talking about them for a long time.
Yeah.
And that's Hedera Hashgraph. Tokenization. I mean, I think at some point in the future, Ethereum will become irrelevant because everybody would go to HBAR.
Me too. I absolutely agree with you.
Really?
We share a lot of very similar thoughts on this whole thing. I mean, if you guys are stumbling across me, I hope this is the video you're stumbling across. And if you're stumbling across Van Dam,
I think you get the picture. I think Ethereum's almost already irrelevant, and I'm not saying it's not going to grow, but it's inferior to a lot of these things. $8 million for a 30-second ad for the Super Bowl, folks. And I said, if I were Ripple, this is the year I would do a Super Bowl ad. Would be a game changer. Can you imagine? XRP's next wave, easy and clear. 450 is coming. XRP's engulfed December's doji dizziness. The wave has entirely had. Next treasure trove lies at 450, called since June 2023. And then we have this. Wall Street's pushing. This is from Forbes. Immense potential. Ripple brace for XRP spot ETF to rival Bitcoin and Ethereum. Wall Street is pushing for Ripple's XRP to win a spot exchange traded fund. Jake Chervinsky. Crypto companies are walking in the front door at the SEC to have constructive conversations about what good policy should look like. For the first time ever, literally, we've barely begun to unlock crypto's potential in the USA. The next couple of years are going to be massive. All right, here's Roger Ver. Now remember, Roger Ver was he was the first, what he says is he was the first investor in Ripple. He was there from the very beginning, which will be key when we go into the digital asset to DAIXRP.com. I'm going to talk about Roger more.
With Ripple getting into the stablecoin game, and I believe you can build smart contracts on their ledger as well. Like, what's your outlook for Ripple or XRP next 5 years?
I think pretty bullish. Like, they're probably, because they're run as more as a company, they've probably been one of the most effective cryptocurrency companies at like lobbying and getting their foot in the door with it and doing big giant contracts with different businesses. And
big giant contracts. That is a thumbnail. Let me write that down. Big giant contracts. I like that. Whoops, what do we have here? Okay. I'll finish this.
And, kudos to them for that. So, how can you not be bullish on the entire ecosystem here? There's just so many smart, creative people working on this. And kudos to the Ripple executive team for what they've accomplished so far. But again, if I have to choose between the government sector and the private sector, I'm going to choose the private sector every single time.
There you go. And then look at this from Charles Hoskinson.
Perhaps one of the biggest projects that's being discussed right now is whether it's possible to put the entire U.S. federal budget on a blockchain, which is a pretty extraordinary thing when you think about that. It's trillions of dollars. That's tens of millions of different sets of hands that are interacting with it. There's hundreds of thousands of outflows to different nations and to different companies.
I'll bet you they put the voting system on the ledger too. Which ledger would they use for all this stuff? Okay, in DAIXRP.com, we're going to talk about some of my theories for a long time, and I believe it sure feels like some of the things that I've always thought are forming right before our eyes, and I'll talk about those a little bit. And also talk about, I've always wondered if was Chris Larson handpicked because of his history for all this. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. If you've never seen what I'm about to show you, it might amaze you. All right, here we go.